The first question is why I want to study film production, and I think that film is the largest platform for expression and creativity that there is. It's a universal thing. I mean, everyone everywhere goes to the cinema, and I wanted to be able to learn how to create something that when I show others, that it will move them, and it will present my opinion and present my ideas, and it will persuade them maybe to how I think, and it can also develop understanding and create links between people. And I wanted to be able to learn how to do that, and I think using film is probably the best way to do it. The second question is what is my strongest attribute, and how will that help me in filming? And I feel that my strongest attribute is creativity. I'm very passionate about theatre as well, and drama, and I study that at A level. And I mean, there's a certain amount of creativity required, and we explore a lot of things. And I think that in a piece of film, the underlying concepts and sort of the creativity behind it, even if it's just the creative process, are sort of what gives it grounding and foundation to move on to be something better. And that's how I think that will help. The third question is what is my biggest inspiration and why? And I would say it's probably Guillermo del Toro, because he creates films that are personal to him and that touch him on an emotional level, and they actually have a meaning behind, but he doesn't do it through a boring way. He does it through things that you wouldn't necessarily consider as realistic. For example, the Devil's Backbone in Pan's Labyrinth. I mean, in Pan's Labyrinth there's a big faun which is sort of used to portray a message, and it's a film based on a child's perspective of the Spanish Civil War. But when you watch it, you don't watch it with thinking, yeah, I'm going to learn about the Spanish Civil War. You watch it thinking, oh, this is a brilliant film, I'm being entertained by this, and it's really great. But when you leave, you think, hang on a minute, I have actually just learned about the Spanish Civil War, even if you haven't done it through the most boring way, because if it just said, come here for a lesson on Spanish history, not necessarily you would go and watch it. But the way that Guillermo del Toro does this is that he manages to get people interested and excited by it, using sort of ways that the sort of conventional teacher wouldn't. And so that's the reason why he's my biggest inspiration, is because I want to be able to do that. That's the kind of thing that I would want to create. If I had a message, I would want to show it to people through film, which I think I've mentioned already. But yeah. So this is my pitch for a film with no budget. I'm just going to make one hypothesis: the location does not count as part of the budget. For example, if I find myself in Kenya but without any money to pay for a film, that's allowed to happen, right? So it's a film set based on slavery, but not the conventional slavery film where we look at a slave who's been taken to America and how his life pans out, but how the lives of people pan out who have had their family taken away by white slave takers. So you look at a tribe who most of the men and some of the women have been taken away, and what the aftermath is for them. How does it affect them? It will tear their worlds apart, but no one ever looks at it like that. And I think we should. And I don't think it would cost any money, because we could get volunteers to act in it. And it's sort of just an idea that needs to be thought about, and people need to realise that it's not just the slaves who've been affected by slavery, but the family of slaves. Yeah. The fifth question is describe a memorable moment in my life and why it had such a big impact on me. I would say there was a month in my life which I spent in Bolivia, and a lot of it, about 3 weeks, in La Paz, which is the capital city. And I had quite a big culture shock, because people see or think third world, because Bolivia is one of the poorest countries in the world, and they think that these people have got lives so bad. I mean, they have to walk for miles to get water, there's hardly any food available, there's no education. But even though that may be true, something you don't realise is that they are still people. I mean, they have personality, sense of humour, they're capable of love, and they're not just charity cases for money to be thrown at, even though there should be donations to them. They don't want to be gawped at by as if they were a freak show. They are human, and they should be treated as human. And people don't seem to realise that. I mean, they still have relationships, and they still can laugh about things, and they still go to the cinema as well, which is something that I didn't necessarily realise before I went there. I just thought everyone there would be impoverished and have nothing. it's not true.